a lot of students, when they see stuff like this here, and it's fractions and all of that, they kind of start panicking, you know, what to do next. So I'm going to show you how to do things really quickly. And again, this is the influence of my teacher that I had in high school in understanding how to work with algebra. So here, I'm going to show you how that works. All right. So let's go to the first question. A lot of students, the minute they get this, they say, oh my God, this is fractions. I hate fractions. I tell you what, in this question, all you need to do, just cross multiply the 3 to the 6. X equals 18. So what's cross multiplying? Cross multiplying any number or a variable. If they want to cross the equal sign, so cross the equal sign to the other side from right to left or left to right. If they are on the bottom, they have to go to the top. And if they are on the top, they have to go to the bottom. Also, when we write a number like this, just know there's an imaginary bottom that's 1. So always know there's a 1, and you could cross multiply that 2 to that 1. And you could do that simultaneously. So what does that mean? Here we go. Solving this in one step. X equals. We said if you're on the bottom, you go to the top. So the 5 is on the bottom. The 4 is on top of an imaginary 1. So the 5 is going to get multiplied into the 4, which is 20. And the 2 is going to cross the equal sign at the same time. It's on top. It has to go to the bottom where the 1 is. So when it gets multiplied in 1, it just 2 times 1 is 2. And then it is done. I can't emphasize enough. This here is key to algebra. Like if you're, as a student or your child masters this, fractions and all of that becomes just a piece of cake. They will do it with no problems. And don't be scared to try things. Here, as you see, like I'm doing everything in one step. So here's another one that has a fraction here, a fraction there. Easy again. So what do we do? Crossing the equal sign. This goes to the top. The 3 goes to the bottom. The x, we want it to stay there because we want to solve for x. So the 4 goes into the 9, you get 36. And the 3 gets multiplied into the 2, you get 6. And the answer is 6. How fast? It's amazingly fast. It's one step, you get the whole thing in one shape instead of doing all the other stuff that you learn in school. This will really save your life. I'm going to do a few more, and then I'm going to give you a little bit more complicated stuff to work with. And then this is the picture. And that's how you could apply all of these methods that I still give the credit to my Egyptian teacher that had a huge influence on me and my learning for mathematics and love for mathematics. Here, now this is different from this and this and this. Our variable that we want to solve for is right on the bottom. So what we're going to do, cross multiply. Cross multiply means anything could cross. And if you're on the bottom and you want to cross, just go to the top. And if you're on the top and you want to cross the equal sign, just go on the bottom. So what's going to happen here? The x, if we want to solve for it, definitely we don't want the x to be on the bottom of the fraction. We want x to go to the top. So for x to go to the top, it has to cross. So if the x crosses, it goes to the top where the 9 is. And the 9 has to cross at the same time and come to the bottom of the 3 there. So cross multiplying. Basically, these are changing places. So 3 over 9 equals x. Reduce always with fraction 1 over 3 equals x. So that's what x equals. Yeah. Now here, again, what we need to do in this question. We want to isolate the x on the bottom. I know a lot of your teachers show you that cross the whole thing. You don't need to. You cross what you don't want. So first of all, we want x to be on top. It's on the bottom. So you know what I'm going to do here? I'm going to cross the x there. And the 4 is going to come where the x is. Cross multiply, of course, you multiply. And I'm going to cross the 3 there. So what does that give me? That gives me 3 times 2 is 6 equals, 6. So the 3 goes there. The 4 gets multiplied into the 9. So basically, if you want to see it, this becomes 9 times 4. And the x goes where the 4 is. And that's done. So it became 3 times 2 is 6 and 4 times 9. I just wrote it out so you see what happened. And here, if you want to see it, it's 3 times 2. And now we have 6 over 36 equals x, which is x equals 1 over 6. You still have to reduce the fractions. Okay, how about here now? So now you cannot cross multiply right away. Why? If you notice, in all these questions right here, we had one fraction on the right, one thing on the left. So 1, 1, here's 1. But here you have 2 terms. So you have this and this. You cannot cross multiply the 3 now. So that's where you have to stop. You say you cannot cross multiply the 3 yet. The first thing you need to do is get rid of this one by minusing 1 from both sides. And that will go. You'll have 4 over 3x equals 8. Now you cross multiply the 3 to where the 8 is, the 4 crosses to where the 1 is, the imaginary 1. So what you'll end up having, you'll have 3 times 8, which is 24, and 4 times 1, that the imaginary 1 underneath, which is gives me 4 in here, and therefore x equals 6. And that's how simple it is to cross multiply. So here's 3 more questions that we'll do, and then we'll finish this. So they look a little bit more complicated than the other ones, but the same procedure applies. So cross multiplying. Here you could cross multiply the 3 right away into the -1. You get x plus 5 equals -3, and then just take away 5 from both sides. And x equals -8. Now, how about here? Here, the unknown is on the bottom. And when you're cross multiplying, just know if you're going to cross multiply this, you have to cross multiply the whole thing. You cannot just say, I'm going to cross multiply only the x or only the -7. You cannot do that. That's a binomial. It has to cross as a binomial. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to cross the x minus 7 to where the -3 is, because it's on the bottom, it goes to the top. This is on top of an imaginary one. And the -3 is at the same time is going to come to where the x minus 7 is. You could do that. Just learn this because it will make your life so much easier when you start your high school, and you'll see how easy algebra becomes once you start applying what I'm teaching right here. Okay, so let's go. So we just said we're going to cross multiply the x minus 7 to where the -3 is, and the -3 is going to come to where the x minus 7 is. So basically these are going to do this. So we have -12 over -3 equals x minus 7. Isn't this easy? Now, -12 divided by -3 is 4 equals x minus 7. Now, all you need to do after this is just add 7 to both sides. And therefore, you get x to equal 11. How about there? So can we cross multiply right away? Remember, we did something a little bit simpler, and I said, no, you can't cross multiply. What's the reason? I wish I had some students sitting in the background. Usually I run classes. It would be good to have that interaction, because, I've done this since 1996. And the success stories that I could tell you, they're just, a teacher sometimes make a huge difference in someone's future, and I remember one story is I had at one time I had a student. I do a lot of tutoring more than teaching in classroom. So I had one student who came to me, and he had 7% in Math 11. That semester system at the end of October, we had November, December, and then January is the exam. So half the year through, he came and he said 7%. When somebody comes to you with 7% average, you think, So you want to assess them, see if there's like a severe learning disability or anything like that. And me, I don't do any testing or anything like that. I just assess as I go. So I took him for the first hour I worked with him, and I didn't see anything wrong with the kid. He could learn this stuff, and his confidence was shattered, and maybe the way his teacher explained things, they didn't click for him. And that's why I always advise parents, if your child is struggling, find somebody who's good to help them, because you really could change the whole future plan for your child. You know, as a matter of fact, this kid, they went on to do engineering because in math 12 he didn't even need me. This person, he did math 12 in his own. He got an A. But in grade 11 he got a 73% in math 11, from 7% to 73%. And you know, his teacher told him to go take that lower math class that limits your choices, and you cannot do anything like engineering or sciences. Then you'll have to stay in within the arts. And how about if you don't like arts and you want to be somebody else? You know, you want to do sciences and you want to go to medical school, or you want to be an engineer. Anyways, so this kid, he just got a 73%, and lights just turned on for him, because, you know, sometimes it takes a great teacher. You know, I don't want to brag or anything like that, but it takes a great teacher to really get a student to see that a subject that they thought it was tough for them to do and impossible, that student, a light turns on, and then they could see things, and then sky is the limit for them. Yeah, so let's go back to this question. Did you remember what I told you earlier? Can you cross multiply right away? No, you can't. I said the condition to cross multiply is when you have only one thing on the side and one thing on that side. Here we have two things. We have this term and this term right here. So we have two terms. We cannot cross multiply right away. But easy, I could make this one term here and move this there, and this becomes one term. So basically what I'm doing, I'm minusing 3 from here and minusing 3 from here, and this becomes 2x minus 5 over 3 equals 7 minus 3, which is 4. Now, again, just cross multiply the 3 into there. So 2x minus 5 equals 12. And then 2x equals 17. And therefore divide both sides by 2 by 2. Or cross multiply the 2 right there. Let's do cross multiply. Cross multiply. Yeah. Because I know I get taught to divide both sides by 2, but that same thing, cross multiply the 2. So if the 2 crosses the equal sign, it's on top of 1. You know, remember, there's an imaginary 1 all the time. It's going to go to the bottom of 17 where there's a 1 there. So 2 times 1 on the bottom. And you get x equals 17 over 2. Again, learn this. Honestly, if you follow this and practice it, solving for the variable will be like this for you. Focus on this lesson. This, like I always tell my students, if anything you want to get out of me, get this, because there are not a lot of teachers that teach this. And if you want to get anything out of me, get this. Okay, as always, thank you for watching. Till next time, bye-bye.